Uh, by the way, you can open up the F1 app to get some info on the preseason testing and the FP1, FP2 times from Bahrain. So
yep, I'm already ahead here. I've got it all off.
Okay. So you want some base to talk about?
Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very different video today on a Friday evening. You don't normally stream on a Friday, but we are going to today. But yeah, welcome to the 2022 F1 season preview. And as you can see, we're doing things a little bit different today. We're not in the showroom. We're going to be doing 3 laps around the track, and while we're doing that, we'll be talking to our 3 lovely people that's joining us today. We've got Dave Alvin, who's joining us today, Rogue Smithy, and Sonic Hawk. You guys, welcome to the F1 season preview.
Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
Yes, so we're gonna go straight in. We had a big regulations change over the winter. The cars look very different, and we're gonna speak to Sonic Hawk about what's your thoughts on the F1 cars for the season. Do you like them? Do you don't like them? And what's your opinion on them?
So basically, my first opinion is that yes, the F1 cars have moved to the ground effect, which is way back towards 1960s, 1970s, where Lotus actually invented ground effect. So yeah, it's good that we're going back to our roots. But again, I think the modern F1 cars have actually evolved in a way that they can tackle any type of corners, no matter what type of speed they are in. But with ground effect, you've got good downforce through the high-speed corners, but not so much through low-speed corners and medium-speed corners. So I think that's something that's going to hurt the current F1 teams because and the F1 drivers as well, because they're so used to driving the cars at a certain limit. So that is something that they need to adapt.
I mean, what about you, Rogue Smithy? What do you think about the cars of this year? Do you like them? Don't like them?
Yeah, obviously ground effect's back, but it's a lot more safer this time. That's why they got rid of it in the first place, because it was a lot more dangerous than it is now. With the safety that is in F1 now, I think it's perfectly fine to bring it back and give more downforce to the teams, but also taking away the downforce from the wings, so it's more or less the same downforce, but it's more reliant on the floor.
Yeah, and what about you, Dave? Same question. How do you feel for the cars for this year?
I mean, I'm not one for the history of F1 too much. I just came into the sport around about last year. But I think there's a lot of advancements, and I think it's all good. I mean, in the testing, of course, new things come with some difficulties for teams like McLaren had brake issues. There was a lot of porpoising, and I think as soon as we get those ironed out, and hopefully we see them ironed out in Bahrain, that we can have some good racing.
I was about to think about the porpoising. The cars do look like a very bouncy car because of the new flooring and the new regulation changes, especially the Mercedes car and the other cars as well. We're due to porpoising. Sonic, what's your thoughts? Is that going to be a big thing for the drivers that the porpoising will probably hurt the vision or their back or anything else? What's your opinion on the porpoising?
I think first of all, the porpoising would definitely affect their confidence in overtaking, because when the car is bouncing so much, you really can't get confidence into overtaking a car on straight, because even now predominantly most of the overtakes happen during the DRS straights. So I think the bouncing would really put drivers off. So the teams who have been able to control porpoising as much as possible, I think they're going to be on top as much as possible in the first phase of this race.
Yeah, true. Especially the fact that Road Smithy that this porpoising, like Sonic said, it's not going to help overtaking. But do you think visibility is going to be a problem as well due to the bouncing?
Yeah, especially into braking zones, it's going to be horrible for the drivers. I think. Yeah, it's going to be hard for Daniel Ricciardo or people that are late breakers. It's going to stop dive bombs, I think, because visibility is so low. You're going to make a big mistake and you might crash into someone, ending both races and jeopardising possibly your championship in your first race.
Oh, definitely. And, and you as well, Dave. You only just got into the sport. I mean, the cars do look very different, and the pole thing is going to be a thing as well. Do you think it's going to be one of those things that the teams have to try to get their heads around?
I think it's definitely something that needs to be sorted, and if it isn't sorted, it can lead to some issues. But I think that if it's not sorted soon, then it's definitely going to have some issues later on to the season, and especially I think there was an issue where everyone's going to start blowing all their budget on these cars quite early on. So of course, to think about that too. So it's all very interesting, but if we get the iron and we can cut out all the mess a little bit, then it should be really okay.
So we're going off to the teams then. So, of course, the teams have made terrific strides and very, bit deep going into there. But yeah, I want to say, the teams have got very different variations, which you'd love to see. What were you thought? Like, which team really impressed you the most when it comes to, like, really captured it? Well, what they did with the rules. Which team really impressed you the most when it comes to the rules of the car? Which car's the best looking, or really catch your eye when it comes to the regulations?
I won't say eye catching because eye catching never matters in F1. But in terms of regulations, I really feel that Ferrari have done a brilliant job. I mean, they have created a side pod that gives them a second flow. So they've got better airflow through the surface of the car, as well as under the floor of the car. And at the same time, I think they've also optimized the level of the level of air that flows onto the rear wing. So I think I'm totally impressed with the design philosophy that Ferrari has followed.
I mean, especially, what do you think of the Mercedes car, Rogue Smithy? Now they've gone with no side pods. That's very intriguing.
Yeah, I think that's going to be, it's going to be a rocket ship on the straight. Maybe not the corners, but it'll definitely help a lot on the straight.
I would like to differ Rose with over here, because I think we've just had a good testing 3 days at Bahrain, as well as we've had a good F1 and F2 today as well. So
yeah.
It's actually Red Bull that's actually the fastest on the straights than Mercedes. So the purposing is actually hurting Mercedes a lot. So maybe the simplified side pods, or maybe the no side pod concept, has not actually done them a favor.
To be fair, the Red Bull car, it's to be fair, it's going to be a lot more deadlier on the circuits, just to how good the car is. And with Sergio Perez now in his second year, do you think he's going to be a much more improved driver now? They had a season under his belt.
What was this question?
Who's that aimed toward? Just generally?
Just generally, yeah.
I think it's always nice when Sergio, he had a lot of experience in other teams, I believe, and I mean, he seems to be doing well. And I mean, of course, the regular change means that there's going to be a lot of differences for him. But of course, hopefully, he can adapt to those changes quickly. Of course, he has to adapt with all the other drivers, so everyone's in the same boat as him. So everyone's a rookie now in these new cars, just some less rookie than others. But we're going to see, I think, some of the drivers who not expect to see at the top start climbing a little bit.
True point. And the thing is that when it comes to the driver lineup, with now George Russell going into Mercedes, do you think that's going to provide Lewis Hamilton a bit more of a push, or do you think Lewis Hamilton has pretty much got it all covered up?
In my opinion, I don't think Mercedes will let it happen. Like, with what happened with Rosberg, they could have easily gotten rid of 5 championships there if Rosberg had stayed. Like, that would have been, like, Vettel, Rosberg and Hamilton all in one team. Not in team, sorry. All in one championship fight would have been horrible for Mercedes. The 2 Mercedes will crash into each other too much, as we saw in 2016.
So you're saying that if you cover sides for a few, do you think that Mercedes will probably stick to the number 1 and 2 driver, or do you think Mercedes going to let them both in them race?
The last time they let them race. Oh, sorry, go on. I'll be after.
No, so you can go ahead. I'll stop.
Yeah. So last time Mercedes let them race, it ended up in 2016, and something that they don't want again, and they've said that before, I believe, somewhere.
So, sorry. So, what do you think? Who do you think's got the strongest pairing out of all the 10 teams? Who do you think has got the strongest pairing?
So before I answer this, I just want to answer the previous question as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
So basically, Mercedes had it easy ever since Rosberg retired, because they basically had Bottas, who is a very good second driver. Because let's just admit, he had the same car as Hamilton, but he could never challenge him for the championship. So for Mercedes, it was a win-win. They have a driver who's not as good as Hamilton, but who would still regularly show up on the podiums, and they would ensure that the team gets the Constructors' Championship. But I think with Russell, it's not going to be the case, because Russell is young, he's hungry, he wants to win a world championship, and he is not going to be a pushover. And having said this, Russell has his own strengths and weaknesses, and I think we have already seen it with his 3-year tenure with Williams, that he is good in qualifying, but he's not that good during the race. So I think something similar would happen unless he adapts himself, unless he upskills himself, wherein he gets to a point where he can do better than Hamilton in the race. Because I'll assure you one thing, right now in the same machinery, there's no other beast than Hamilton.
And who do you think's got the strongest driver lineup out of all the 10 teams?
I've got to say it's got to be Ferrari. I think they've got the most balanced driver lineup out there, because both of them are equally capable of winning races on a certain given day. At the same time, they have the temperament to adhere to the team's objectives. I think they're going to be the most stable team through this entire season.
So do you think Ferrari, in our view, can they really take the fight to Red Bull? Can they, because they built an absolute beast of a car, we saw in practice. Do you think they can really take the fight to Red Bull this year, or is it just a one-track pony for them?
I won't say it's a one-track pony for them, because if you compare all the 10 teams, I think some teams have done well at Barcelona, some teams have done well at Bahrain, but I think there's only one team that has done well at both the circuits, which is Ferrari. So they are being they're being cautiously optimistic to not go ahead about themselves by saying that, we're going to win for the championships. But yes, I think that's what they got in their mind, but they just want to keep the hopes low, and I think they are a team to reckon this season.
I think. Oh, sorry.
Go on, you spoke first. Go on.
Yeah, I think Ferrari, if they do this every year, and they're actually really stronger Bahrain, as they've shown in the past, and I think, they do it every year in testing. They show promise, and then they always finish third.
So what about you then, Dave? Who do you think is going to be So yeah, thanks for being in the rear. So yeah, who do you think is going to be your constructors and drivers world champions?
I mean, I don't really know, because I'm new to this and everything, and I mean, I would like to see, just by a personal peeve of mine, Alpine up there. I think towards the end of the season they were getting well, but I would say I think that there is a solid chance in it for Alpine. McLaren. McLaren, I think, started really getting it towards the end of the season, and I think they stand quite a good shot at maybe bringing it up towards the front, and I think though Ferrari is going to be coming back a bit stronger.
So you're saying McLaren to be your Constructors World Champions then?
Not to constructors. I think it will be Mercedes or Red Bull again. I mean, they will probably have another. I think maybe another title fight, but it depends who comes out of Bahrain better. I think it all comes down to the first race. It's yeah.
Well,
Although I will say, I think though.
Yeah.
There was a late note I established ahead, but I think Mercedes is becoming a bit more like Red Bull in the way that Red Bull was trying to get every little advantage they could, because I noticed the detail on the Mercedes car that they've put like bioluminescent or like neon paint around their driver numbers, and I know there's a rule in the regulation that states that driver numbers must be clear, and I think they're going for like, if we're going for like little pet peeves like that, and maybe trying to come up with a point that Mercedes numbers aren't not the Mercedes numbers, the Red Bull numbers, if they were to get ahead of them, maybe that they aren't clear or something. I think they're becoming a bit more Red Bull like in that way.
So what about you then, Sonic? Who do you think is going to be your drivers and constructors champions? Oh, there we go.
Oops.
I think, in my opinion, it's either between Red Bull and Ferrari for the constructors champion. So I think it would either be Verstappen, Leclerc, and Sainz for the drivers champion. And for the constructors, I would either go with Red Bull or Ferrari.
So you're saying Red Bull not to win the constructors then, and both drivers and constructors. You think it's going to be a year for Ferrari? Is it after so many years without a championship?
Let's admit one thing over here, that if you put Leclerc, Sainz, Verstappen, and Perez on a paper, I think we know what the chronological order is in terms of outright pace, and Perez comes last. So
True point.
I think I think that's going to be an Achilles heel for Red Bull this season if they are eyeing for a constructor championship. And to be honest, you know what? For a team, the drivers' championship doesn't matter in terms of money. It's actually the constructor championship that matters. So it's probably Ferrari who are going to walk away.
What about you, Rogue Smithy? Who do you think is going to be your drivers and constructors champions by the end of the year?
Honestly, I don't know. I can tell you after the first race, but right now, no. Because new regulations mean new driver pairings, new cars, new everything, new rules sometimes, and yeah, it depends on what team nails it after the first race. Because you could see one team faking their pace, their slow pace even, as Mercedes have done in the past, and probably are doing, because they've built a reputation for that. So I think I can't tell until after the first race.
I want to make a note on one of your comments there about Mercedes. They have a history for, I think you said they have a history for like slowing their speed. And I think in an interview, Mercedes, I think Hamilton or someone in Mercedes, I think it was one of the drivers, it was one of the drivers. They said this car in this current state cannot compete for race wins, apparently. I mean, that's quite interesting, and considering it's Mercedes, I think it might be a bit of a bluff.
Yeah, they said that last year as well, didn't they?
Yeah, very true. In terms of the rest of the field, we got Aston Martin, we got Alpine, and all that. Who do you think is going to be on best of the rest for fourth place? Who do you think that fourth place position has got to go to in terms of the midfield? Start off with you, Sonic.
Yeah, Sonic, you can start.
Yep. If we ignore the top three positions, right, because it's most likely to going to be occupied by Mercedes, Red Bull, and Ferrari, no matter in what order. But if we come to the positions after that, it's really tight. You know what? It's really tight, and we don't have enough data based on the present testing, because it's been so mixed up for all the midfield teams. But I would like to place my bets on
He's thinking now.
AlphaTauri.
Oh, AlphaTauri, really?
Yeah. Because I think they were gunning for P6, P5 last season, and I think they got a decent car. So it has to be either Alpha Tauri or McLaren for P4 to be the best of the rest.
I'm going to comment on that.
Yeah.
McLaren are looking terrible here. P11 for Norris and P18 for Ricciardo.
And brake issues.
Yeah, and Gasly was P1 in FP1, so I think if Gasly will probably pull AlphaTauri along, and Tsunoda at the end of the season is going to leave. Same with Ricciardo, with McLaren.
And I also will chain off that same question. I mean, McLaren have had brake issues with their brake pads, and they've tried everything, and it's just not working out for them. And I mean, I don't know what the issue is exactly. No, I don't think anyone does right now. But if they're having this many issues with the car, then they could get off to a really bad start here, and AlphaTauri could just like get them off the start, and then by the time they do have the issue fixed, then it's too late.
So as of this moment, you're saying all bets on AlphaTauri to get 4th place then?
Yes, yeah. Gasly's quite quick, especially I think he topped a few of the pre-season testing charts and FP1 today, by the sounds of it.
So in terms of our predictions of championships and all that lot, what about the Bahrain Grand Prix? We all seen practice, we all seen it. So, any predictions about the Bahrain Grand Prix? I'd like to know your guys' top 6. So, it's going to start with you, Dave. Who's going to be your top 6 for Bahrain?
I mean, I think Verstappen and Hamilton, I think just by nature, are going to be up there, 1 or 2, either way round, I think. I think it's a more Red Bull catered track, so I think we might see Max top it there, Hamilton second. I would like to see whether or not he gets up there is another question. I think that he definitely has a chance, but of course I haven't really seen a lot of the practice sessions, and as soon as I see qualifying tomorrow, I'll have a definite sort of view of that. And I think the rest, Gasly will be up there. I think we'll also see who else would we see up there? Yeah, I think Gasly's definitely going to be up there. Tsunoda might make his way up there too. Fernando Alonso maybe. I mean, he's had a few crashes in the practice sessions, so I don't entirely know about everything in the practice sessions. As I said, I haven't seen them all, but yeah, I think definitely Verstappen, Hamilton, George Russell up there. Same with Gasly. That's my top 4.
Fair enough. Smithy, what about you? Your top 4 for the Bahrain GP?
I'm going to throw a curveball here. I actually think there'll be a surprise winner and a first-time winner. In maybe, I think, I'm going to go with Sainz for the win, first-time winner. Then second place. I'm actually not going to go with what people are saying are going to be the top 2 or top 3 teams, because I think there'll be a collision early on in the race. So I think it'll be Sainz to win from Gasly, and then maybe I think it'll be Russell or Hamilton. I think there'll be a collision early on between either Leclerc and Max, if those two are the top 2, because those 2 have busted heads in Austria before. So I think both of them are young, both of them want a title. They'll both collide into whatever corner they can.
How about you, Sonic?
Sorry, I was just away for a couple of minutes. So, are you talking about the predictions for the first race?
So yeah, what's your predictions for the Bahrain Grand Prix coming up? Who's going to be your top 4, top 6?
Top 6, okay, I'll go with top 3 first. I think it's going to be Max, Leclerc and Sainz. And then, if you ask me top 6, after these guys, I would bet my money on Russell, Hamilton and Perez.
So the big three teams then.
Yep, it's going to be the big three teams.
So you're not going to put any better fair shouts than McLaren or bit of Alpine, bit of AlphaTauri? You're going to say it's just the top three, is it? Top three teams.
Yeah. It's just the top three, and I think the FP1 result of Gasly was just a flourish of luck, because if you look at the FP2 result today, Gasly was P13, so I guess that speaks for itself that maybe AlphaTauri were running a little too low fuel to get those headlines, but yeah, I don't think they're really up there to get in the top three yet.
Fair enough. In terms of F1, what do you think of the new graphics that is for the new season? What's your opinions on it? I'll start with you, Smithy. What do you think of the new F1 graphics for the season?
I haven't seen them in action yet, but because I've been busy with school today.
Yeah, it's fair enough. Yeah.
But I've seen photos of them, and I think the top of it, like where the timer is, the lap counter, is absolutely horrible. But then the rest of it is all right.
Sonic, have you seen practice? Have you seen the new graphics?
Yeah. I have seen the new practice and seen the new graphic. For me, honestly, it doesn't matter much. I have got a neutral opinion on this. They're neither too good, not too bad. I think the earlier ones were slightly better, and this one is more simplistic. But yeah, that's my opinion on it, and I'm not too bothered about it.
And you, Dave?
I mean, I could give you the whole graphic designer breakdown because I am a graphics student, but I mean, I've just literally just pulled it up on Twitter as you started this question, and I mean, I like the amount of information it's giving. It's giving you the tire compound, it's giving you the time, it's giving you the practice. It's giving you probably for qualifying, I'll give you the qualifying session. It's tell you who's in the pit, who's out. I mean, it's very informative for a very small forming screen. I like the sort of style I think they're going for, like the opening intro too, taking on quite a more you could definitely tell the sport is about speed now and competitive racing, which is what they are trying to push with these new cars, and it would make sense that the graphics would reflect that.
Just a comment on Timo. He predicted Leclerc, Max, Sainz, Gasly in fourth place, and then Perez. So that's his Bahrain good predictions. Thank you for the comments, Timo. One more final question about the F1 calendar. Do you think the F1 calendar is a bit too long, or is that it's just right, or is it just need to be a bit more shortened? I'm gonna start with you, Sonic. What do you think of the F1 calendar season? We've got 23 races coming up, including Miami. What do you think of the calendar? Is it too long, or does it need a bit more simplicity, a bit more shorter?
I think it's definitely too long. I mean, we've got to understand that these people are not racing at the comfort of their home like we are doing. They're actually traveling miles for lots of hours in air time. You also need to consider the jet lag that comes when you're switching the time zones, and they're almost doing it every other week because in a year you have 52 weeks, and half the weeks these guys are racing. And if we ignore the post-race break, which is about 2 to 3 months, these guys are precisely traveling every other week or every week. So I think it's actually a very long calendar, and I think they could actually keep it short to 18 to 20 races. I think 23 is too long.
What about you, Dave? Do you think the calendar's a bit too long, or do you think it's just about right, or do you think it needs to be shortened?
I mean, I think what they're thinking is the more races, the better. And I mean, it definitely makes the wait in between seasons that a little bit more shorter. But of course, you got to think about the effects it has on the drivers. And I mean, yeah, it's not necessarily good. I mean, they have jet lag. They have to deal with moving. The teams have to move all their stuff over every race, every week. And I mean, they've also reshuffled the calendar as well for a few races, moving Saudi Arabia to the front. And it's I mean, they're trying to get it so that all the countries that are near are close together, so it's less moving and everything for the teams. But of course, at the end of the day, they're still going to be doing roughly about the same amount of moving.
Same question, Smithy.
fine as it is. Just maybe a couple reshuffling and removal of some tracks, and then it's a perfect calendar.
So you think the calendar's just right? 23 races is just fine for you, is it?
Yeah, perfect.
Very different in opinion. So we're gonna go to the final topic of the question. We got 2 new race directors now. Michael Massey's now gone. We've got the final report for Abbott. Yeah, I know. Can tell someone's a bit happy about that. We've got 2 new race directors for F1 now. Stefano Domenicali is the new owner for Formula One now. Chase Carey is now left.
I think he's been the owner for like 2 seasons now, I think.
Oh yeah, or something
no,
like that.
I think he took over sometime mid last season. So yeah.
Yeah, so Stefano
I saw him in
Domenicali.
IMOLA as
He's
I
the old
own-
Ferrari guy.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he's been in for about the last season.
Yeah, I saw it on like Sky Sports. They said something about like it was in IMOLA. It was about him being the new owner of
Yeah,
F1.
there's talks about in Drive to Survive. That's about my extent of my knowledge.
Why do we talk about Drive to Survive? Because I think that's an interesting point.
True point.
Yeah, don't get me started.
To try to survive, in my opinion, it was good. Don't get me wrong, but it was
Lackluster.
yeah. Oh my word, Rogue Smithy! Goodness me, that's a dive and a half. So yeah, so do you think
Realistic as well.
so we've tried to survive now over and done with. We all seen it. Did you think it's a little bit?
It definitely didn't hit as hard as the other seasons. I mean, it was definitely more like, I know they have restraints because Max doesn't want to be on Drive to Survive, and Hamilton doesn't really say a lot, so it's not like they had a lot to say on the front battle, so it's mainly just insight into Christian Horner and Toto Wolff. People were saying that the signing of George Russell behind the McLaren headquarters was staged. People are saying that, I mean, I like always seeing Gunther Steiner and Drive to Survive. He's such a great character, and
especially that conversation he had with Nikita Mazepin was a bit funny.
yeah, Nikita Mazepin was great. But the other thing was though, it's like I felt like they couldn't really talk about too much, and the things they did talk about, there was better things to talk about. And I also think they repeated themselves a lot. Like, it was like, I think in the 3rd episode they were talking about Daniel Ricciardo in Monaco, and the episode before that they were talking about, I think, Ferrari, and they showed I think it was Leclerc engine failure or something, and then they said the same thing again in the next episode. I'm like, yeah, but why? There was no point. And then also like George Russell's lap around Spa in the wet was like 6 minutes long.
Do you think Will Buxton's a little bit annoying?
Pardon?
Will Buxton,
I don't mind that, but
the 2-player career mode with him is just...
yeah. That, I will admit, he does, he got interviewed, I think, and he said, someone said to him, you are now known as the unskippable, 2-player career mode, and thing, whatever. Or like, he was like, that is a great legacy to have. I'm like, it is not.
I mean, Trying to Survive itself, I thought it was going to be super high this year, especially with the way Max Verstappen and Hamilton were going at it, the arguments between Red Bull and Mercedes. I mean, it was alright, but I wish they could have like, you know what I mean?
There wasn't a lot of behind the scenes, and that's what the whole point of Drive to Survive is. Because I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just going to retire. At the end of the day, it was just sort of like a season recap, and it wasn't really like
season recap was the swearing in
behind the scenes. Yeah, it wasn't like behind the scenes like Drive to Survive should be, in my opinion.
So almost at the finishing line for this show. I mean. What's your final thoughts for the season? Do you think it's going to be a very... Did you really think it's going to be up to its hype and beating last season and the way last season went, do you think it's going to be much more better than last season, or do you think this season's going to be a little bit more downward, or do you think it's going to be a little bit more, a bit more normality, or do you think it's going to really be up to the hype to last season? I'm going to start with you, Sonic. Do you think this season's going to be a lot more better than last season?
I think it's definitely going to be better than last season. Because last season you had only two top dogs, which were Mercedes and Red Bull. But right now you don't know what the pecking order is, and the pecking order might actually change 4 to 5 races down the line. So it's going to be really interesting to see who is going to win. And on the same lines, I think the midfield is also tighter. Uh, I think the midfield is not as spread as it was last season. I think it's really going to be intriguing compared to the last.
Well, you, Rogue Smithy, do you think we're in for a very exciting season?
It's debatable. It could be one driver dominates, two driver dominates, sorry. But it could be anyone in the field could win it. People could be sandbagging. People could be making massive improvements throughout the season to gain more speed and maybe wiggle themselves back into the championship fight if they're that lucky. But at the minute, you can't tell.
And Dave, what about you? This is gonna be is it your first full season, I think, watching Formula One?
Yeah, this will be my first full season. I mean, I think 2021 was quite the season. I think based on the feedback that I had from a lot of my friends who are full-time F1 people, it seemed like it was one of its kind. And I think even, yes, this season's promoting closer race, so there's the regulations, there's like the budget changes so that the midfield's closer, as Sonic said, and there's going to be more people fighting for the front. But I think at the end of the day, 2021 was the season, and it ended up, I think, becoming a bit more like a war towards the end. And I think it was a one of a kind, and I think I'm lucky to have seen it, and I think hopefully that hype can still carry on. But I think that the hype train may be a bit overhyped.
So, yeah, carry on. Sorry, carry on.
You said that is this will be your first full season, but 2021, what a season to start watching F1 anyway.
I know.
No matter how far into it.
It was surreal, man. It was something, and it instantly gripped me. And it's like, even though I wasn't aware of like the big main things at the front, but it's like, yeah, I enjoyed even the little midfield battles that were happening. I'm very like into all the data and everything behind it, and I'm really interested in the small things as well. So I'm so happy that I got into the sport, and now I don't see myself coming out of it for a while.
If you want to, Dave, there is F1 TV, only for £20 a year.
I watch it on Now TV, so I have Sky Sports F1.
Or there's Sky, or you can click the red button if you've got Sky Q or Sky Glass.
Oh God, no.
Jeff Barron says, Carlos world champion. It says, thank you, Jeff Barron, for the comments.
Ooh, I mean, Ferrari's definitely going to be up there, and I think, of course, I don't know everything there is to know, but I think Ferrari, definitely not a shortage, but they're going to be up there. I think with the testing, I've heard that their car are quick. Their drivers were also quite quick last season. It's just I think the car limited them.
Timo said 2022 is going to be better than last year's race. Thank you for the comment. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting season. I really do think it's going to be a very exciting one as well. I think we're going to have so much drama. The politics is going to be involved. I really do hope they keep the race the team speaking to the race director, because I really enjoyed that last season.
Yeah, I really.
That brings us so much debate.
It was a lot more. You felt a lot more in it. Well, you felt like you were there, like a lot more. I think that was. They should definitely keep it.
I think it's already been confirmed. It's getting removed. Well.
I really enjoyed that.
No, Mikey. No.
No, Mikey.
no, Mikey. It's not right.
Reinstate the last lap. We went motor racing. But,
Yeah, are you gonna miss that though, Si? With the teams actually, we're not going to hear the teams speaking to the race director.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss it. It was fun. It felt like
I
you
think
were
it's
a bit
still
more
not
fun.
clear, right, whether they're going to block all that conversations or not.
Oh, it's such a shame. Because I really enjoyed that. To be honest, we had so much debate.
Damn
All I wanted to hear was Gunther Steiner screaming at Michael Massey.
Imagine the unbleached version. It'd be so funny.
Oh god, is it like a safety car thing? Oh god, okay, maybe it was a safety car thing.
No, it isn't.
We're just doing it for fun.
Hot tires.
Okay.
And I keep losing it.
Gonna put on a little show, because why not?
Sorry,
We didn't
I'm
get donuts at the end of
trying to-
last season, so I'm gonna do some
I'll get some donuts.
Donuts to celebrate the new season.
Yeah.
So yeah, my final question is Sonic. What's your final thoughts? Is it going to be a season for the ages? It's going to be full of politics, full of drama. Do you think it's going to be one of those seasons that's going to get everyone talking?
I think honestly, every team is trying to find their pace, and I think there's no room for drama at the moment because no team knows what their potential is, what their pace is. So I think it's going to be a very intriguing season. It's going to be a very interesting season. We are going to have battles like how we always have. Like we've got a midfield, and then we've got the bottom half who are fighting for those minuscule 1 or 2 points. But unlike previous seasons where it was always obvious that who's going to be in the midfield, who's going to be at the top, I think this season it's going to be relatively closer with respect to who gets podiums and who comes to the midfield. I seriously think because the following is better. I think we have read what drivers are saying with respect to how comparatively easy it is to follow other cars compared to the earlier seasons. So the racing has to be better. I think it's going to be a spectacle.
What about you, Smithy? Do you think it's going to be such an enjoyable season to watch this season?
Yeah, 100%. It'll be enjoyable. We don't know if it'll be as enjoyable and political. Is that the correct word? Yeah, political.
Yeah, pretty much so.
Yeah, political as last season. But if we get a good season with good racing, that's all a fan asks for.
And what about you, Dave? You're going to be excited to be watching your first full season in Formula One?
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be, hopefully, it's gonna be great. And I mean, these drivers, man, it's such a dangerous sport. It's such an interesting sport, and the hype train is immense. Whether or not the season lives up to it is another question. Of course, I think all the people who joined in 2021 are gonna have to, like, I think maybe they're a bit too overhyped, but I think I know my bearings enough to maybe, I don't know. I think it's going to be a great season. It's going to be lots of fun, and as we came to have a motor race, I think a motor race is...
I mean, don't get me wrong, SFR's global chat, it will definitely be popping after the Grand Prix is finished. I can say for a fact.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's all we got time for. Guys, thank you so much for watching the F1 2022 preview podcast, and I'll be doing the end of the season podcast in December. So I'll be doing one of those to review the season. That'll be my annual thing now for the rest of my life. Great, lucky me. So yeah, thank you, Sonic, Smithy, and Dave for joining me tonight. It's been such a pleasure.
No problem. It's a
Cheers,
pleasure,
cheers,
man.
Oliver. Thank you for
Great
hosting this.
experience. Thanks for the hosting.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for doing this, mate.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And guys, really enjoyed the Bahrain Grand Prix coming up on Sunday. It's going to be such a fantastic time. And the SFR's Global Chat's going to spam me on my computer like there's no tomorrow. But that's going to be all worth it. So yeah, thank you for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next race showing. That will be the Belgian Grand Prix in a few days' time. So from all of us here at SFR... Yeah, I said Belgium. I guess, yeah, well, what I meant to say is Belgium.
One.
Yeah, I meant Belgium. I meant Belgium, yes.
You meant Bahrain, not Belgium.
I meant the SFR one.
Oh. Oh.
Right, see you for SFR's next race in Belgium, and enjoy the Bahrain Grand Prix coming up before that. From all of us here at SFR, it's from all of us here is goodbye.